Hello everybody, this is Sierra from Sierra T Designs, and today I have for you 2 alcohol ink thank you cards. So let's jump right in. So to start, I am going to use some Yupo from Tim Holtz, and I've cut it down to the size that I want my cardstock to be. I believe it's 5 1/4 by 4 1/2, just the standard A2 size. And I did spray on some 99% alcohol. That just kind of gets your colors moving. And now you can see I do struggle, and this is sped up a fair amount because it did take me a while to kind of get the panels where I wanted them to be. So I sped this up so that you could see the process. A lot of people have kind of mentioned to me that they're struggling with their alcohol inks. So I just kind of wanted to show me working with the inks and kind of just playing around until I like it. So for this first one is the pink one. I have Gilded, which is an alloy ink, Raspberry, and Enchanted. And Enchanted is a pearl alcohol ink. And all of the stuff that I use will be linked and listed below. And I do also have the Tim Holtz air blower, which is what you see in my hand there, just to blow the alcohol ink around. And now honestly, when it comes to making these panels, a lot of it comes to trial and error. I find like you keep playing with it until you like it, and I think that people get a bit discouraged when it's not quite what they want it to be kind of quickly. Like I think this is sped up about 5 times faster than it took me to make this panel, and I actually left the full blue panel in as well so you could see it. And you just kind of have to be a little bit patient. It kind of is a lot of just playing around, and adding some extra solution of the blending solution so the colors blend, adding some more alcohol so the colors move, and then I add some Gilded just to get that metallic in there, and I really just play with it consistently, and I keep moving it around, and I keep moving it around, and I keep moving it around until it looks like a panel I think that I can work with. Now, there are going to be a few things in this that don't work, and I'm going to show you how I fix them. So it's kind of like a learn from my mistakes situation, because there are a few things that I'm going to do in here that didn't work, and we're going to fix it, and that's perfectly okay. So for me, I kind of like to have a softer edge, so I tend to add a little bit of blending solution to the edges to kind of smooth them out a little bit, or anywhere where the alloy kind of joined back together, I kind of break that up. So here is the pink panel. I'm all finished with it, so I'm going to clean up my mess, and we're going to jump straight into the blue panel. And I'm going to do it pretty much the exact same. I like to spray down the 99% alcohol just to get the inks moving, and then I add blending solution where I want the colors to kind of mix together more. So in this one, we are using Tranquil, which is a pearl, Cool Peri, and we have Sterling, which is an alloy. And I really like to add the metallic in there. I feel like it kind of just gives it a really nice shine, although the purple does as well. And I'll show you, I think at the end of the video, I'll show you both panels in the light and kind of tip them so you can see the metallic and the pearl in them, because it's not easy to see here as I'm playing with them. But honestly, it's a lot of trial and error. I mean, if these are, I think it took me, I don't know, I think I played with them for like a half an hour, adding more color, adding more blending solution, adding more alcohol, adding more color, adding more, and just consistently building up the layers. And I think that's kind of where this becomes kind of fun, is the layers of color and then separating them. So I do like to soften out my edges, so I will take the blending solution and kind of drop it on the edges to kind of stop the harsh lines that end up there. But I will also add more alcohol ink, and I do kind of like to work on an angle. I think that ends up leaving some nice white space, which gives you a little bit more to look at, if that makes more sense. Like, how do I explain that? If you leave some white area, it kind of gives something to detract the eye, and it still kind of draws attention to where you have the alcohol. So it kind of ends up looking a little bit more mysterious, intentional. I'm not quite sure of the right wording, but I find that it just makes it look more awesome. I don't know. We'll think on that word there. If you can figure it out, you let me know. But I do like to leave white space. You could do a full panel. I didn't. I kind of do some white space because I think that breaks up the color a little bit, and it kind of gives you some rest for the eye, because this is quite busy with quite a bit of color. And because it's quite busy, our sentiments are going to be pretty simple, and we're not going to add any bling or anything, which I know is shocking for cards that I make, because I generally am all about the bling and all about the shine, but we are not going to add any to these. we are actually going to trim down the pink panel and make it kind of a half card, and then the blue panel we're going to do in full. But you will see I make a mistake on the blue panel as we get going here a little bit. So I'm pretty much done the blue panel. I like how it looks, and then we're going to set them aside to dry. I do soften out the edges a little bit. So here you can see that I'm going to take the Simon Says Stamp Bold Thanks Wafer die and my Gemini Go, and I'm going to cut this out 6 times from black cardstock. I'm only going to show it me sticking it in the machine once because, I mean, I think you get the idea of the whole situation here. But I cut it out 6 times because I'm going to layer it up 3 times for each card. Originally, this was the sentiment that I planned to use. I don't end up using it on the pink panel, as you would have seen from the pictures. I end up stamping a image instead, a sentiment, but I am going to show it. So I'm going to take my, I believe this is the Tim Holtz, or the Distress Collage medium with a little adapter tip on the bottom, on the top to make it very thin. And I'm just going to dot that along the letters, and then I'm going to glue them together. And I just did 3 layers because I thought that that was a fair amount of dimension and kind of just made it look more like a chipboard sentiment as opposed to a very flat sentiment. However, I was not even going to use them because in the end I didn't really like how it looked with my alcohol ink. It felt a bit too bulky. Because the alcohol ink is kind of whimsical, I guess would be how I would describe it. It almost looks like smoke or water or mist or something like that, like something kind of some movement, and this sentiment is a bit bulkier than what I actually wanted for this card. So I do prep them, and I am going to show you how I prepped them, but in the end I didn't actually plan on using them. However, because of a mistake, I had to use one of them anyway. So I've got them all ready there, and then I'm going to show you here. I cut the pink panel in half, and I did actually use the second panel to make a happy birthday card. I'm not going to show it in this because I didn't do it until way later when I was sitting there looking at this leftover piece of alcohol inked background, and then decided that it was silly that I didn't use it. So I won't show it to you because I didn't do it while making this video, but I did end up turning that other piece into a card. So I am going to trim them down a little bit because, as you know, I love to black mat everything. So I did an 1/8 of an inch mat around both of these. So I'm going to cut this one down a little bit, and then I'm going to trim the blue one because I had them at the A2 size. I am going to trim them down a little bit just to kind of make it a little, well, to make room for my mat and the border of the A2 size card. So both of these are a standard A2 sized card, with a little bit of the alcohol ink piece sitting on top with a little bit of a border. So I didn't trim them down very much, but just enough so that I could add a border around. And I did take it off of all sides so that I didn't kind of lose my side to side image. I kind of wanted that kind of smoke-esque look, or I kind of think it looks like smoke, but I mean, you could go water, it could look like so many things. And then I kind of just measured them. I tend to eyeball my sizes. You don't need to do that. You could absolutely measure them. I tend not to. And you guys are going to look at me and be like, Sierra, why are your nails square? This is an older video. I recorded this a while ago and just haven't got around to using the footage. I tend to do that like if I have a vacation coming up, or I have a trip, or just if I'm not feeling well. I tend to pre-record a bunch of videos just in case, and I just I had too many videos with a whole bunch of ink blending together, and I didn't want to put them out together because that takes away a little bit from the fun of the ink blending. So I decided to do an alcohol ink card in here. So here you can see that I'm going to kind of move the thanks around a bunch, and I don't end up liking how it looks. I felt like it was just too bold for what we had done with this alcohol ink. Now, it's not horrible, by no means. Like, it would look stunning regardless if I had intentionally gone with that sentiment to start with. But in the end, I was going to change my mind. I did actually change my mind, and I'm going to show you where the mistake happens here. I also make a mistake with the pink card, although it's not as bad as the other one. So I glue that down to its mat, and then I'm trying to figure out how I want to lay this out. So here you can see the thanks, and I think it's way too bold for how this smaller panel of, and again, now you could use it, absolutely, but I didn't like how it looked, so we're going to do something slightly different. So I end up pulling in my mini Misti, and I'm going to stamp 2 sentiments. It would have been the same sentiment, however, you'll see where you make a mistake here. And it is from Memory Box. It is a thank you sentiment. If I can find it, I will link it below. If not, I'll find you something very similar to it. I've had that in my stash for a long time. And here you can see, look, I didn't use the right ink for this. I should have used an archival ink. Or like a StazOn or something like that. I didn't. So it sat on top of the paper, and I smeared it. And then I just took a piece of paper towel and wiped it off. And we're going to stick a thanks down, because that's just, I didn't like it. So it's not a big deal. We're going to use the thanks like we originally planned to use it, and we're just going to run with it. And that's okay. So there you go. And you can't really see it. So I'm okay with it, but there is a little bit of black behind there. And now here I show you. I stamped that down. I hated it. I hated it so much. So I'm going to stamp it on a different panel. And all I did was trim off my pink alcohol inked piece. And I'm going to stick it down over top of this because I didn't like it. I stamped it above, and the tail of the Y on the U just didn't really look good in that image, or like on that card. So you're gonna see here, because I'm gonna glue it down in a second, that I literally just took this pink piece and I trimmed it off of the other card base, and I'm gonna glue it down to a different card base. So I mean, pretty much everything is salvageable, and if you don't like something, try it again. Like, try something different, just play around a bit. Pretty much every card is salvageable, and you can totally pick the pieces up and still end up with a stunning card just because you don't like something about it. I mean, it's pretty good. So I salvaged them both. This is where we ended with these 2 cards. I hope that you like them. I hope that you'll give alcohol inks a try, and I would love to have you back. I post a new video every Monday, and I would love to have you subscribe, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and I will see you guys again super soon. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.